Hi, I'm Fran Malkin, and this is my story of Flip the Script. I decided to write this chapter as really a natural way and next step in sharing my story, sharing my voice and my framework for empathy, both personally and professionally. I started my career, 3 decades ago, as a traditional classroom teacher. And about 10 years ago, I transitioned into my current role as Vice President of Education and Development at SKNV. And I quickly realized that that transition allowed me to take some of my traditional pedagogical skills and translate them into corporate training. And teaching really taught me that honest, open communication goes beyond words. It's really all about listening deeply, and meeting people where they are. And really creating a space for people to be able to express themselves really comfortably. And listening is powerful. But when you deeply listen, that's a superpower. And that superpower has been the blueprint of my teaching, my training, and my communicating in general. Silence often exists when you're listening. People tend to get uncomfortable in that silence, and they feel like that silence is empty. That silence is really full. It's full of tons of information. And when you just deeply listen, you'll gather a lot more, and you'll really build trusting, lasting relationships. For the first decade of my traditional classroom teaching career, I really mastered the skill of speaking the language of my students. What I mean by that is I was really able to take complex ideas and break them down into digestible, bite-sized nuggets for them to understand. And I did that by deeply listening to them, by really reading my classroom, by being able to pivot and adjust so that my students could hear me. But more important than them hearing me, they needed to feel heard and understood, because that's where trust really came. And I translate that trust and that empathy and that human-centered connection and communication to the healthcare space. The healthcare industry is really riddled with doubt and uncertainty and ambiguity and a lack of transparency. And at SKNV, we were really able to bring the trust back. Everything's centered on tactical empathy. Everything is about serving our dermatology partners, sitting in their scrubs, really listening to their frustrations and struggles, and being able to help them find a SKNV solution to really build a better relationship with them and with their patients. So the title of my chapter is Speaking Their Language, the Power of Seeing, Listening, and Understanding. So through my traditional teaching experience, I really learned to speak the language of my students. I realized I had to communicate on their terms. I had to meet them where they were, what their needs were. And in doing so, it really allowed me to build meaningful relationships with them, and it allowed them, so that's when the learning really transpired. And I saw at SKNV that while SKNV consultants are able to speak the language of the dermatology offices, we're able to really create meaningful relationships. We're able to get on the same page. And that trust is so important. So we see them, we listen, and then we understand. Co-authoring a book with Chris Voss is a dream come true. Chris's book, Never Split the Difference, transformed my life. It transformed the way I taught, it transformed the way I communicate, and I actually used that book to help my SKNV consultants transform their relationship with dermatology providers. So having learned from Chris's genius and then being able to stand side by side and co-author a book with him has been incredibly rewarding. It's been an absolute honor. I've had the opportunity to really stretch my writing and really refine and clarify my voice and contribute living proof that tactical empathy changes people's lives. I originally wrote my chapter for the local dermatology community. They're really under siege. Direct-to-consumer companies, online companies really are poaching their patients, and insurance companies don't see their specialty as life-threatening, so often drop many of the medications that patients need off insurance formularies. My chapter really aims to be a message for support. We see you, we hear you, and we understand. And it's also a call to action for our providers to partner with us, offering them a solution, the SKNV solution, to really be able to thrive and be resilient in this current healthcare landscape. So after closing the last page of my chapter, I really hope that my readers feel empowered. I hope they feel empowered to share their story, their voice, and to commit themselves to really deeply listening in the relationships that they're in, personal or professional. Whether that's a new relationship or in a relationship they're nurturing and growing, really being deeply listening and being an active listener. I think true relationships really are developed not by pushing harder or talking more, but by listening better and caring more And I think in this world, we would really benefit from better listeners and more caring people. I'm Fran Malkin, and this is my story of Flip the Script.